The boys at Recoil promised me cookies today, and I'm sitting back here waiting on their dumbasses to get back from lunch to give me my cookies. So in the meantime, I'm checking through messages, and somebody had sent me this video with EXO, and I always found EXO kind of annoying. I think mostly of its look, but it wasn't until today that I realized why I don't like him. The other thing is I finally have a character that I can that has been fleshed out that I can make a reference to. So last night, the wife and I watched Zoolander 2. What was it called? The Magnum edition. So if you guys haven't watched it, it's a completely ridiculous Ben Stiller movie, and I love a lot of Ben's comedy and work, especially what he did with Tropic Thunder. What was the other one? Starsky and Hutch I loved, but Starsky and Hutch was released in 2004. It's like that was a long time ago. So anyways, we watched it, and there's a character in there that's played by Kyle Mooney. And if you don't know Kyle Mooney, he's a hilarious guy. He plays like Baby Yoda on SNL, and he's been a staff writer for many, many years. And the last couple of years, he's been a player. And that means he's acted and been in sketches and things like that, more than just a writer. So I finally saw that, though. Kyle plays a character in Zoolander 2 that is like super annoying and super just shallow and gross looking and disgusting, and at the same time is willing to do everything and nothing at the same time. And he does a really great job at sort of, and I'm sure he had a lot to do with it because I'm sure he does improv, of fleshing that character out and doing some things. One of the sillier things that his character does is he says, "Got this Colonel Sanders tattoo," and it's like, I don't even remember how stupid the Colonel Sanders tattoo is, but I just remember him saying, he's like, "Yeah, it's totally awful and annoying, and it really hurt, and I should not get it, but I got it because my grandfather died." It's like, again, what the depiction is about, mostly it's about how fickle many people can be. I don't want to say young people, because there's a lot of fickle people in society in general, but you're seeing it a lot lately because I think mostly it's because of the internet and being able to see trends and fashions quickly and emulate those things quickly. And then it's a form of communication. And so it's basically douchebaggery. And so anyways, EXO is the douchebag. He's got the look and the crazy thing. And in this video, I'm like, what the fuck is he doing? Like, he's cutting to cameras. And then he starts talking about his Crohn's disease. And I'm like, get to the fucking video. So he gets to the equipment and whatever, it's fancy. Of course, I'm sure it's overpriced. And EXO is getting a piece of it. And that's fine. I don't really give a shit about that. I'm sure if I study it or even get one of those, we can knock it off with Recoil. And again, give you guys something awesome. Like, what's funny is I was talking to Recoil guys yesterday, and they asked me to do a little bit of extra work and stuff like that and go through a lot of the items and either raise or lower prices depending on market. And we both agreed that Recoil is basically doing what I'm doing. And that's why I think there's good synergy between us, because on a mass scale in the mass market, that's what Recoil is doing. If you go and look at those accessories that I talked about when I said just type in marine and then a bunch of other, related or unrelated stuff comes up on the website. And the price, though, when you compare to Amazon, Recoil is giving that shit away, dude. And normally you can't buy those kinds of quantities for that price at all. Like $5. I know shops that charge $5 to $10 for a pair of 4-gauge fork connectors. Like, there's a lot of money on the table if you're an installer at home and you need hookups. You don't even need to see me as far as mainstream installation accessories and things like that. Just shop on Recoil. You don't even hit me up for cheaper prices unless it's like a large quantity or something like that. Otherwise, just go through their website. Now, if what you notice on some of the stuff is they'll raise the price high, and you go, well, why is it so high? A lot of that is to reflect a lot of the items that are resold, that they have dealers have invested in. And so doing that, it gives a benchmark, like on the PCK0D, which is their all copper dual amp kit. Right now they have it posted for $264, which is probably still competitive with other similar products by Sky High or Kicker or Rockford or whoever. Because I'm sure they charge $300, $400 for the same fucking thing. And so, and a lot of times Edge, the parent company, is making that product for those companies. Like I showed you with the Steve Mead products, like the fuse blocks and things like that. So, but just keep that in mind. And sometimes if there's a oddly high number or it seems like a little unreasonable, then text me and say, hey Patrick, can you do better on this, whatever, and then let me know the quantity that you need. And chances are I can do it. But if it's just little, like connectors, little tiny like crimp connectors and things like that, just fucking buy it off the website. It's fine. But the synergy that I have between them is that a lot of you guys who are fans of the channel are the same guys that watch EXO and these other, I just call them tools because they're just young guys that have more achievement than they probably should, but because nobody else was doing it, it just sort of fell on them. Like just basically like BigDWiz. BigDWiz has been doing something that nobody else was doing. And so he was in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing. And he, good for him, but I still don't like him. One of the things I didn't like about the EXO video and the way that he was behaving is because he looks ridiculous with that hair and he just like, it's juxtaposed against being a professional. That's what it is. So like when you see somebody on talk or whatever, and they got blue hair and then they start talking about a serious subject, like I can't take them serious. I keep staring at the fucking middle nose ring. It's not even like the nostril nose ring. It's in the middle. I can't take you serious. Or you got a face tattoo with, the clown arrow above your eye. Like I cannot take you serious. Like stop doing that. So that was one of the issues with EXO. And what I realized was that EXO is trying to be like a professional newscaster. Like this is like car audio news and he's trying to fill that niche. And what's funny is I disagree. I do not think you guys are as professional as you want to be and as you think you are. And I get that criticism a lot, especially for some reason, middle-aged black dudes. For some reason, like I had some guy turn into me talking about the way that I treated that guy, Kyle. I forget his last name or whatever. Anyways, he was the JL guy and I go, no more JL, fuck you guys. And he's like, you're being a brat and a cunt and all this kind of stuff. And you should not treat customers that way. And I was like, mind your own fucking business, dude. I can run my business into the ground if I want, right? That's my business. You need to respect that. And I think it's funny when people try to tell me, like, I know what I'm doing. I've been doing this for 30 years. The difference between me and the next guy is that they don't know what they're doing. I have a much larger plan and schedule in front of me. And so it really shows me about the audience and people that have a conflict with me when they complain, because it tells me what they complain about. And in many ways, this is what I've been talking with my wife about, is about negotiation. Like one of the things that she does is she has an expectation. She'll have the conversation of what I'm going to say in her head. And then she'll jump right to the answer, which is jumping to a conclusion. And then she'll start taking action based on her answer inside her head. So she never gives me the option. She never gives me the choice. She never even has the conversation with me. She just jumps to the conclusion, and typically it's a negative one. I'm like, who the fuck said that? I'm like, I'm not that negative. You are. I'm not. And so that's been a big issue for us, because she jumps to that bad conclusion. And I'm like, you need to be a little more positive, babe. Like, chill the fuck out. So, but I think it's funny though, the way that these guys sort of think that I'm being a traditional businessman. I'm not a traditional person. I'm not a traditional businessman. And I can call myself businessman now because I started BlackJackAudio. Otherwise, Robot is still not-for-profit, educational, and I don't mind giving that shit away for free, and that's why I don't fucking monetize my videos, so that nobody can say shit about me. That, oh, you're just doing this for clout, or you're just doing this for views. No, absolutely not. And even if I am doing it, it's just to attract attention to the channel so that you guys can get some clear fucking information instead of this pseudo professional bullshit that BigDWiz tries to be, and like basically anybody that uses Apple products. I don't care if you're fucking Kevin Smith and you're using Apple products. That's no, I can't take you serious. Because the whole company is a fucking predator, and they're clowns, and they all they do is mimic other people's stuff. And it's just bullshit. So if you have an Apple phone, I'm sorry, you're dumb. If you have an Apple computer, I'm sorry, you're really dumb and you bought into that dumb system. So, and I've talked to Apple users and they believe dumb things like, Apple hard drives are better. Apple LCD screens are better. Apple power supplies are better. No, I'm sure the Genius Bar tells you that, oh, don't you want the best? And again, Apple is the same as JL Audio and anybody that overcharges for product. Now, I do sometimes get into the argument. They go, well, how much profit should be made? And I go, well, that's determines on the market. I go, what I think car audio and just the market in general should be more competitive. What I don't like is when companies, specifically like Apple, create a unnecessary need and unnecessary, what is it called? I forget what it's called. It's not necessity, but like they make you feel like there's not enough. I'm sure that the term is on the tip of my tongue. Well, McDonald's does the same thing when they used to cut you off at 10:30 for breakfast. They're creating a scarcity. That's what it is. A false scarcity. Or sometimes fashion lines will do this, and like with shoes and things like that, is they go, oh, there's only a limited edition. There's only 1,000 pair or whatever their scarcity is. You're going to lose out. And that's all bullshit. All this stuff is manufactured, and it can be manufactured over and over again. And even if, like during the recession, when a lot of the vendors for car audio and other vendors for that type of stuff, accessories, they go out of business, literally, over in China. They just go work at another factory. They just join a different team. That's all they do. And then they go back to making the same fucking products that you loved and wanted in the first place. So stop thinking that there's scarcity. What there is market manipulation. And that's what I don't appreciate. And that's what I just go, nope, I'm just fucking stabbing you right in the fucking neck. Fuck you. Because we're developed along enough globally and in society here in America especially, that is completely unnecessary. And to have it still going on in this day and age, to me it's as offensive as racism and sexism and ageism and all that kind of stuff. Those things still happen. There's still tons of double standards for men versus women. There's still tons of standards of gays versus straight. And I'm going to fight to the death so that everybody has the equal right to be shitty. So as far as EX goes, personally, I don't know him. I just find him kind of annoying and whiny. But I think he relates to a lot of the young people that are annoying and whiny, and especially young rich kids that live in a fucking $1 million house and think that because they don't get everything, they're poor, which is it's popular in car audio, and that's what we saw with Tanner. He doesn't know that he's well off because he's never had to suffer. He's never had to work for anything, and so the version of reality that he's used to, especially when he meets me, does not meld with his expectations. And so I don't need to entertain anybody like that. So it's funny, on the ride here, I was talking to my wife about that, like in my wife's family, instead, like if I want to communicate with people, I want to touch souls with people. There was this beautiful scene in Zoolander last night where they're on a boat with Penelope Cruz, and Penelope's like, my boobs are too big, and so they both stare at her boobs, and then they cut away, and it's a full standing shot, and both it's not Luke, who's the other brother? Owen and Ben both have boners, and then they talk to one another, and they're all touching boners. It's hilarious. I missed it. Sherry picked up on it, and I had to rewind it and look at it again. It's fucking hilarious. So, but I forgot where I was going with that one, but basically, well, that's what it was. I love everyone, and I want to touch souls with everyone. I think that is the ultimate ideal way to be, and I wanted to get to know my wife's family. I applied myself. I took their abuse. I hung in there. And what I realized was that it's never going to happen. And they're going to make sure that. Why? Because I love too much. I love them too much, and they have low self-esteem, and so they can't take it. So if you ever want to see somebody implode, love them too much. Give them too much rope. Watch them burn you, and then go back again. Like it's different when you're not expecting it, and you don't have it in the back of your mind that, yeah, this hooker could run away with all my money. Love that hooker. And it doesn't. Their hookers come in all forms too. Sometimes you meet them in a bar. Sometimes you meet them in church. Love that person to the best of your ability and give them lots and lots of slack, and know that they're going to burn you, and be okay with it. And what's great about that policy is that you get to learn about other people really quickly. And then you have the ammunition and the wherewithal to go, do I need to stay in this? Is this worth staying in? So, of course, this time of year, I always think about it of when, and back to negotiation real quick with her family, was the way that they would negotiate if I overstepped my boundary was they would just be mean to me. And for some reason, I'm supposed to pick up on that vibe and understand and have an understanding that I did something wrong and I need to cower and I need to, gargle some cum and I need to just, grovel. I don't grovel. I want to have a conversation with adults. I want to be an adult. I want to have, like if I overstep a line, and I was thinking about it the other night too, is that when I make a joke, that's a risk. Any comedian, that's a risk every time you go up on stage. You could bomb at any moment. And it happens. Some people are just not receptive to that joke. And so I'm out here risk-taking all the time. And their policy as a family is, why would you take a risk when you don't need to? And for me, that's the spice of life. I want to find out in my life what I'm capable of. And even if I'm not capable of something that I want to do, I want to work towards it. I want to find out who I really am. I only get one shot at this. One shot at life. And so I'm going to think really big, and I'm really going to fucking go for it. And their policy is, well, if you think you're that big, then, you need to settle down and you need to know your place and you need to stop, trying to involve us in your pipe dreams or, whatever it is. It's basically a negative attitude. And of course, I never heard these comments from them. It was always just a stern look, or I'm supposed to hear it secondhand through somebody else, and then they forget to tell me or whatever. And so the pinnacle of that is the day before Christmas, I go to drop Sherry's gift off, so it's under the tree when we go over the next day. And my father-in-law comes out with the two brother-in-laws and then a bunch of other of the sisters and family, and like there's going to be a fight going on. And I was like, well, again, I take everything at face value. So I assume, why would I assume danger when I've loved and cared with these people for over 20 years. And then he comes out and tells me, we don't want you coming back to the house at all. And I was like, what? I didn't, what are you talking about? He's like, we don't want you here anymore. And I got upset, not at him, I didn't get upset for me. Because again, I don't really care about my feelings. I care about other people's feelings. And so, but not in an unhealthy way. So I immediately realized what he was doing. And basically, instead of negotiating, instead of having a sit down with me, instead of having a talk, instead of giving me a warning, instead of doing any of that stuff, he just basically threw a tantrum. And I'm going to lay down the law and you're going to listen to me. And this is it. And this is final. And there was absolutely no discussion. What I got upset about was that he was a fool, because I'm married to his daughter. His daughter has already chosen me over him. And if he's jealous about that, that's his problem. He's got a whole other wash of worries that are not mine, and I'm not going to pick up for him. I don't care how many bullets he stopped in Vietnam. And so I was upset with him, and I was calling him names because I didn't want him to make this mistake. I saw it as a huge mistake. Again, not because I wouldn't be invited to Christmas. I don't give a shit about that. It was that he's basically separating him from his daughter by a way of punishing me. And I told him, I said, you can't hurt me. And I think that scared him a little bit too. Because if somebody says you can't hurt me and they believe it and they commit to it, and your whole racket is intimidation and threat of violence, that can be a problem for you. And so, but that's what there went. And I cried in front of everybody because I was so sad at the way I saw a grown man throwing away his relationship with his daughter because he was not willing. He was able, but he was not willing to negotiate with me or even negotiate with his daughter. Like, I wouldn't even mind if he went secondhand and said, hey, you need to tell your son to shape up, and he needs to get a real job. He needs to do this and all this kind of stuff. What's funny is that was the peak of my success. I was pulling down 15, 20 a month, and I was driving a brand new fucking Tundra. Was it the crew cab one or whatever it was called? What was it called? Crew Max, with the rear window that goes down. I had 2 fucking purebred dogs. It was fucking, I was the top of my game. And this motherfucker is shitting on my parade. Like, what the fuck? So, his problems are not mine. And, he took that shit to the grave, and good for him for showing commitment, but he was wrong. And he was wrong about Vietnam. He's wrong about being a war hero. He's wrong about a lot of stuff. And, I think my lesson to you guys is, just because you see somebody that's popular on the internet, whether it be BigDWiz, whether it be Steve Mead, or Tony DeMore, just because you see them on TV, just because you see them on the internet or whatever it is, think about it for yourself. Think about even everything that I say. Go research. I love to see some pushback, but make sure that you're educated. Like some guy was fucking pushing back on Faraday rings, and I'm like, again, is it worth adding? Because he sent me a thing about I think it was a Scar woofer. I think it was called the SVX. It was their little cheapy $50 woofer. And he's like, this could really benefit from having a Faraday ring. And I'm like, sure, at 1 watt at 1 meter, sure. I'm sure you could scientifically see the difference, but as far as sonically, could you hear the difference? And is it worth adding a $1, ring to, something that should cost only about $11 to make, $15 to make? No, it's not worth it. It's not worth 1/15 of the whole fucking thing just so it looks better on a computer screen. It's not worth it. And so again, that was I didn't even bother to make a video because that is such an esoteric, useless piece of information. But it's a very good example of some of you guys are smart in the community, and I would love to have a conversation with somebody on par with what I know. And both about the industry, both about science and physics, both about all that kind of stuff. I don't like to brag about me. I like to let the work brag and speak for itself. That's why somebody asked me the other day, what's his name from Annihilation Audio or whatever, good cabinet maker guy. He asked me, he's like, do you want to be on a live stream? And I was like, no, I don't want to be on camera, because I don't want the work or even the video to be about me. And when you're on camera and when you have your face in front of the camera, there's a lot of vanity going on that I don't want to participate in. And so if I just, I don't want to say avoid, but just simply choose a different path other than me being on the fucking video, I want you to listen to my words. That's why I'm just sitting here, waiting for Steven and the guys to come back from lunch. As far as the video, visually, this is completely boring. But I hope in your imagination, by listening to my words and listening to the pictures that I've written and created in your head, that you've been, here it is, 24 minutes in, and I hope that I've taken you on a wild ride of imagination and thoughts and emotions and experience that I have in my life and the insight that I have, and I hope I've shared that with you. So anyways, I love you guys. EXO can suck a dick. Who else? Big D. That one guy, that black guy that, oh God, he makes the Bandpass boxes. He made this giant, I made a post about it. I have not felt the need to actually make a video about how dumb and how much of a basic bitch he is. But, I think it's called like Affordable Car Audio or some sort of name like that, where he's trying to make himself into a brand. And it's like, not that I hate him for that. It's just like know what the fuck you're talking about before you do that. And if you know what the fuck you're talking about, see, that's why I actually have a new respect for Hexibase, for what's his name? Pete. Because I didn't like him because he was really arrogant, and the accent doesn't help either, especially because he's been in this country for a long time, but whatever, that's my judgment. But if you listen to what he says in one of the things he was talking about, like in a Bandpass box, see, and now he may be more available for money. I think he charges like $2 or $2.50 for a design as well. So it's sort of like separating a fool from his money. He's like, oh, you want a 8th order Bandpass based on a $50 8-inch woofer? Not a problem. $250, please. And he'll take your fucking money. And what's great is then he was honest with it, which is like, if you want lack of accurate response and just a big boomy dildo in your fucking face, make a Bandpass box. But of course he doesn't say it like that. I do. Now, could I say that I'm more honest than he? I'm definitely more vulgar and crude than he is. And I think that the shock value of being crude and vulgar like that, this subject deserves that, because there's so many mainstream companies jumping on the bandwagon of making a fucking Bandpass. The biggest violator would be Bose. And they've made their living on that stupid Bandpass. And what they end up selling you is a $600 subwoofer that filled with, I mean, they're not even like $1. They're like 50-cent 5-inch woofers. And they're not even woofers. They're the cheapest pieces of shit. Woofers that you can imagine. And they turn that turd into some sort of something edible. And people just, oh, it's so good. It's like when wine tasters are totally bullshitting. It's like, oh, like, it's got a nutty flavor. It's because it's made of shit with peanuts in it. Like that's why it's got a fucking nutty flavor. And they're faking it to try to be cool and be acceptable, or worse, they don't know any better, and they're just they're going along with the crowd and talking about something like Bose being respectable or long lasting or something stupid like that. And of course, especially when you see them in which I did in the 90s, you saw them on military bases, and then they offer financing on top of that. They're completely taking advantage of you. Now, I do understand if, like, say my parents got a Bose system because they like the cosmetics of it and they like the ease of use. I understand all that. And nobody else was addressing that problem. Again, I understand that. And then again, if you're only paying $13 a month for whatever, 36 months, fucking go for it. I understand that. But if you know me, and that's what I tried to do with my new dad. So I tried to set him up with something that was like high performance, but the problem is he's not a high performance guy. He's like, I just want to get my DVD. They still get DVDs from Netflix. That's how old school they are. And my mom thought that Netflix was too expensive, and so she started going to the library and found out that you can rent DVDs free from the library. And she's like, this is fine for me. Which is fine, because I think most Americans consume too much entertainment and media anyway. They should work more, or at least be with their family and teach their family how to work. I think that's to me, that's one of the most ideal experiences, is if you can build something with your family and teach your kids and other people in your family a living, and how to serve other people and how to love each other. So again, I don't know, maybe it was the LSD that I did that I told the government that I didn't do. Maybe it's all the Reformation work that I did through Omega Vector and just personal self-improvement and the books I've read and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. Whatever it is, I have a different perspective of a lot of people in the industry. And I thank everyone for your support and your subscription. I never tell you to subscribe, and I don't want to tell you what to do. And to me, that makes it a stronger experience, and it's stronger numbers of what you guys really want to see. And I always want to be the refreshing voice in whatever industry that I'm working in. Again, I want to get into movies. I want to get into electric vehicles and solar and all that kind of stuff. Stuff that changes lives, stuff that really puts a lot more money in your pocket, and it gives it a big fuck you to the fucking man. I'm all for that. So anyways, I love you guys. I will talk to you later. I'm going to eat some cookies here, hopefully in a minute. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Bye.